Attention listeners across the galaxy, all the way from Australia to Houston. Do we have a pube problem? If so, our friends at Manscaped have cleared you for takeoff with their 4th generation and brand new Lawnmower 4.0. Kick your pubes to the next planet with the Performance Package 4.0. The orbits in your pants will feel like you're in zero gravity when you use the best tools for the job from the leaders in male grooming. Join the 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get your rocket ready for takeoff by going to manscaped.com/DelphinPod, DELFINPOD, for 20% off and free shipping. Don't forget, use the code DelphinPod, DELFINPOD, for 20% off and free shipping. Abort hairy balls and Buzz Lightyear that Woody with Manscaped.
Can we just stay up here all day? It is so crazy down there.
That's right, folks. Spider-Man is in fact Peter Parker.
Listen, I did not kill Mysterio. The drones did.
The drones that are yours.
Does any part of you feel relieved about all this?
What do you mean?
Now that everybody knows, you don't really have to hide or lie to people.
For the record, I never wanted to lie to you. But how do you tell someone that you're Spider-Man? Now everybody knows. But this isn't about me. This is hurting a lot of people. I've just been thinking about how to fix all of this.
So, Peter, to what do I owe the pleasure?
I'm sorry to bother you, sir.
Please, we saved half the universe together. I think we're beyond you calling me sir.
Okay, Steven.
That feels weird, but I'll allow it.
When Mysterio revealed my identity, my entire life got screwed up. I was wondering if maybe you could make it so that he never did.
Strange.
Don't cast that spell. It's too dangerous. Fine. I won't. The entire world is about to forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
Wait, everyone? Can't some people still know?
That's not how the spell works.
So MJ's gonna forget about everything we've ever been through?
Stop tampering with the spell.
Oh my God, Ned, he's my best friend. Oh, my Aunt May should really stop talking. What just happened?
We tampered with the stability of space-time. Multiverse is a concept about which we know frighteningly little. The problem is you trying to live 2 different lives. The longer you do it, the more dangerous it becomes. Be careful what you wish for, Parker. Hello, Peter.
Welcome to a special episode. Beep, 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 beep. Breaking news. Dun, 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 dun. We now return you. That's a very specific noise, I think. What was mine? Is mine real?
I think yours was
You
fake.
went bum 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 ba-dum, ba-dum.
Dun, dun,
That's the same
dun,
thing.
dun, dun, dun,
We
dun,
both went to
dun.
sports.
Breaking news. Breaking booze is what it would be if we were talking about ghosts.
Oh, I thought you said booze, as in alcohol. I was like,
What's a
damn.
Spider-Man related one? Oh, I guess Daily Planet. Oh shit, not Daily Planet. Daily Bugle.
Breaking Thwips. I'm not sure.
Fake news? Because
This is
J. Jonah
fake
Jameson,
news.
he's kind of like, what's that dude's name? The one from Texas. that's
Alex
it.
Jones?
Yeah, exactly.
You know he records from a strip mall in Austin? I know where it is exactly.
Say the address right now.
No. 122 Boogie Woogie Avenue. Welcome to a very special episode of Countdown to Infinity, a Marvel's Avengers podcast. We're talking, I know where we talk episode by episode of new shows like What If, but we are with the boys talking about the brand new trailer for Spider-Man No Way, Holmes.
No way, Holmes. Yeah,
No.
exactly.
Yeah, what if we had an episode on the Spider-Man trailer.
An eagerly awaited trailer, especially considering that there's just really a couple of months before it releases. Everyone's really excited for it. Even though there's 2 other Marvel movies coming out before. Just saying.
3 if you count Venom.
I don't. But we are going to talk about that trailer and just get some first reactions. It's not going to be a long episode, but the OG hosts are back, baby. That's right. We're in the multiverse where they never left the podcast. John, Andrew, how are you doing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So back on the horse.
Back on the... Yeah,
it's like riding
last
a
time
bike.
we were here, we talked to Black Widow, so... And I think we're getting ready to watch
another insect-based superhero.
Mm-hmm.
Shang-Chi.
What the Shang-Chi, and then also
that.
I think there's a Marvel Zombies episode of What If that I really want to do, which would be pretty cool.
You don't want to do the Jokester Thor episode? I don't remember what he's called in there.
Haven't seen it. Thanks.
No, spoiler alert.
But are you excited for the new multiverse? I know that we talked a little bit about it in Black Widow, but obviously Loki and the Timekeepers and what we saw at the end of WandaVision. Are you excited for the multiverse of madness?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's I know a lot of people are hyped for the Spider-Man thing, as they should be, because I think it gives non-MCU fans an avenue to kind of
get in there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and like people who especially were fans of the old movies and were kind of hesitant to jump on to the new canonized Marvel stuff. I don't know what to call it, but the MCU stuff, I think it's really, really awesome, and it makes everything possible. So now you can have another Iron Man in there if you want. Now it doesn't have to be. I know Robert Downey Jr. is obviously Iron Man to a lot of people, but now you can have a different take on Iron Man. We're gonna get a different take on Iron Man with Riri Williams and doing Ironheart, and then Armor Wars with Don Cheadle and stuff like that. But
Emmy nominated.
Yeah.
Moon Knight.
Yes,
Moon Knight too.
Iron Man.
Are we just saying things? Yeah. Birdman.
I wanted to add to what Drew was saying about I don't know if there's anyone hesitant to get into the MCU, but I think that does bring up a good point that, like, not that this movie is standalone that's coming up, but yes, you do attract fans of people who watched the Spider-Man movie casually back in the day. Like,
Well, and I think it's because, like, when you jumped on early, like, for the first Avengers, you're like, oh, I got this. Like, I only have to watch 5 movies, I got this.
Yeah.
But now it's become such a daunting process where it's like, I wanted to watch Endgame, but I had to watch these other 20 movies, so I didn't.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what's cool about this new Spider-Man's, this new multiverse stuff, not just the Spider-Man. But, I think we're going to get just a taste. It's kind of like a build. So if Spider-Man was the glass ceiling that we hit and that was it, that would be crazy. So I'd imagine that, the stuff that we're going to cover in Doctor Strange next year is going to be even crazier than what we saw in this Spider-Man that we're going to see in this Spider-Man movie. And I mean, especially with the rumors that, Wanda fights someone from the Fox verse, from the Foxman verse or Fox verse. It could be Wolverine with Hugh Jackman. It could be Deadpool, or it could be, Quicksilver for real.
There's a strong rumor going around that it's actually Professor X.
Oh my gosh, that would make sense.
Yeah, which would be awesome, because then now you just, you're shotgunning the mutants into this universe. And I think that's what's cool is, like, people are like, man, these mutants and the first family should have been around since the beginning. Because they were some of the foundations that Marvel laid down.
Fantastic Four, especially.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. And so now I think you have the potential to retcon a lot of that stuff where it's like in a different universe, they were the first ones.
Yeah.
And, that's where they were ripped from, or, mutants have always been around because of this, or what have you. Again, just I think it lends itself creatively to a lot of this new content that they're trying to make, especially with now it's not just the movies, it's Disney Plus, and
now we have alternate what if.
It gives you the longevity that you needed. After Endgame, I was like, where do you go from here? Like, Thanos was probably like the craziest you could have gotten with, like, with the linear path that they've been choosing, killing off their villains, and obviously some of their heroes, their main heroes, perishing and stuff like that. So I was really concerned, because I knew that the comic book fans were still going to come back no matter what, whether they're A, B, C, D, E list villains. Look at Suicide Squad. Polka Dot Man is a hit, and now James Gunn made him a household name. Where it's like having Condiment King as a like a Groot or something, or whatever. So it's super crazy the time we're in, and how you kind of want to hook new people, but also you want to show the people that have been with you something new. And I think this is a really cool way to do that, and not just in live action form. What If has been a hit. Every episode has gotten better.
Yeah.
Since I've seen it, and that show surprises me every week. I'm not as excited as some of these live action shows for to What If. I'm not as excited as What If for What If, but it surprises me every week. And I think again, you can have spin-offs like this a lot more, especially with the multiverse theory and all that.
Yeah. John, are you surprised at the pace of this? I mean, we knew this is where Marvel was headed, into this multiverse. We knew that there was a shakeup behind the scenes where they knew they were taking on, like, my gosh, dozens of projects. So they were overseeing things a little bit differently. But are you surprised that we're talking about the multiverse basically just, a year after the last Avengers movie?
I think it's still a good build-up. I mean, I think the people because I feel like there's probably some people who still want to watch movies and not so much the shows. So, like, even if you didn't if they didn't watch, Loki or something, which Loki explains it pretty well. I think it kind of like, explains the rules of what a multiverse is. And it's one of those like concepts that either can work or doesn't work. It could, it borderlined on, like, if it executed badly, I guess, like, it borderlines on, jumping the shark and stuff. But from other multiversal stories that you see from, like, even DC stuff when they do it on their TV shows, it's kind of like you have to be a real big fan to kind of like understand it.
Yeah.
But Marvel's
or know the reference.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And Marvel seems to be kind of easing into it, which I think is pretty good. I think Spider-Man, using it with Spider-Man in a multiversal story like that is a perfect segue into...
That's true.
Into getting people to understand that this is going to happen. Because, to the average person who just watches a trailer and sees, the same Doc Ock as the original movie is probably just going to be like, well, then you die.
Yeah.
And then you kind of like, in watching the movie, which I feel like will be explained, pretty well, like, this is like not what it is, like, it's everywhere. Also, yeah, I think it's really fun as a fan. Watching this stuff come to light is like, it's exciting because they're peak comic booky at this point. Like, it's like, to the point where it's abstract. Like, yeah, none of this, if you think too hard on it, is gonna make sense. Like, it's not it's almost like the time heist in Endgame where you're just like, no, you probably should just just enjoy the ride in this case. But
you're really, I mean, these are just gonna become character pieces at some point where it's like, what would Spider-Man do in this situation?
Right, exactly.
But what Spider-Man is like and what he would do.
And I think, this is gonna follow. I know that this has been in the works for a while, but this is what's gonna follow when it comes to sci-fi and comic book movies going forward. Not so much maybe sci-fi, but comic book movies going forward are all just going to be these, multiversal things. Multiverses are hot right now. I mean,
they're so hot right now.
We're
starting a multiverse at
exactly.
Delphin Pod, yeah.
The Flash movie that's filming with Michael Keaton is
same
also
thing.
a multiverse. It's basically the same plot line, almost as...
It's interesting because you since you're talking about just superhero movies in general, they have to reinvent the genre in a way, and it seems like leaning into the previous IP.
Right,
and Spider-Man again is, I mean, you can't even choose a more successful, I guess, regeneration of a character, at least for superheroes, to have Sam Raimi's version, and then you have Andrew Garfield, and really well watched movies. So seeing them all together is going to be a big hit. Because to your point, we watch all the Loki stuff and What If and WandaVision, but there are definitely millions and millions of people that only watch the movies.
Want to watch the movies, yeah.
At the movie theaters, or when they see that it's hyped up enough that it breaks through to that next level of like pop culture where your coworkers telling you about it,
right,
or something. And this is it, because Black Widow's already come out. We'll have to see if Shang-Chi explores this at all, or if the Eternals does. But if we're talking like multiverse stuff, it seems like that is the premise of
what's the next
the Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, see, you'll get the small pockets of like just their own universe.
A little hint, yeah.
It reminds me of like because I just did a MCU rewatch. There are movies that stand alone, obviously, like the first two Guardians movies, and then there's the thing that advances the story forward, like the next Infinity Stone movie, like or the next Avengers movie, because after the Avengers came out,
Civil War, where it's like all of them come out in there.
That is the Avengers movie.
After the Avengers came out, everyone just wanted to see connected shit. Like, where are the Avengers? Okay, cool. We're getting another Thor movie. Yeah, where's Iron Man in this Thor movie or something?
Yeah.
That's the way these movies are going to be. Like, I think on the negative side, the non-multiverse movies may have like an uphill battle when it comes to interest or impact.
Yeah.
I think we said that about like Black Widow off camera, where it's just like, whoa, the stuff that happened in Loki was like, that's huge compared to like what actually happened in Black Widow.
All those came out the same week.
Yeah. Not that that it takes away from Black Widow. That's more of a personal, story. But
the timing.
the timing is weird. And then now that you're throwing in stuff like, whoa, now you can see 3 Spider-Man. What's to stop the audience from demanding a movie where you see like multiple X-Men or people or something?
Yeah. It's a great point because before Infinity War, we could care less. We were seeing Infinity Stones, but we still were. It was kind of opaque in the background, like what's happening. But the second they say, "Oh, he's making a glove, a gauntlet," then that becomes your. You're looking for Infinity Stones and where
exactly.
Thanos is. So it'll be interesting to see what that fix is here. But yeah, I feel like, man, Loki seems like a pretty critical thing to watch, especially when it comes to, who will be able to fix this or maybe the villain.
I think I find Loki as being essential viewing. I think I've met
right?
Someone,
like, how are they gonna?
Someone who said like they didn't want to watch it, and I was like, well, it's not that you need to watch those, because Feige himself said that like. You can still watch any other movie and know
they're
what's
making
going
movies.
on.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just like the way that show kind of
gives you context,
and then kind of just that it's like a catalyst event.
It introduces the villain of the next
whole phase.
Yeah, and it's even crazier than Thanos' cameos, where it's just cameo, like he's just talking to himself for some reason. He's talking to the camera, but now like he's legitimately interacting with some of the main players in the Marvel universe, and Magic has been like, man, it's just been like dominant.
The
like
Gathering.
This entire phase so far, it's just all Spider-Man gets a magic enhanced suit, and you have the 3 people, the Doctor Strange,
WandaVision,
Agatha.
Even the magic that the Eternals kind of use. It's kind of like a superpower of some sort. I don't even know what it is, but again, I really dig. Even who knows? Maybe the 10 Rings too. Shit.
I think we're gonna see a lot more magic, and I'm just realizing now that Skrulls are gonna be introduced at some point, like in the next year. This is gonna get wild, and I can't wait to mansplain all of this. To like just I'm gonna go to a park bench, and someone who's just on reading a newspaper will be sitting there, and I'm gonna just mansplain.
It's just like that's what Tom Hiddleston did apparently on the set of Loki. He would just give these big like lectures on like the character arc of Loki, but also on the MCU, and people didn't get it. And he's like, okay, so give me a second.
Apparently, it didn't stick too, because Owen Wilson's still like, I don't really know.
And like Mackie and like Sebastian Stan were pissed. They're like, how come you never did anything like that?
That's
like on the set of the
funny.
movies. Like we wanted to attend some of these things. Like we're filming Disney Plus shows too. How come we didn't we wanted to attend some of these? But that'd be hilarious.
Do you think that there will be a saturation or maybe just too much Marvel stuff at some point? Because so far this year, it has literally been every month, if not every week at some points. And we just talked about the Black Widow overlap with the Loki finale. There is no slowing down. In fact, there's a ramping up of how many things are in production and movies are being filmed and edited, on the same day that episodes are coming out. How do you feel? Do you think as long as they keep things different enough and fresh enough, it's fine? Or how do you feel generally?
I think I have a short response to this. Is just that I felt like that was gonna happen. I still feel like it might happen. That being said, I've enjoyed everything they put out. So as long as the shit is good, I feel like it's
forgetting you want to watch it. It's good stuff.
And I was one of the biggest critics of Marvel after Endgame, where it's like, what are they gonna do? I was so skeptical.
And here comes a natural shutting down of everything, like a literal break.
Well, and I think that's why the first thing that I ended up seeing, which was it WandaVision?
Yeah.
It blew me away because one, my expectations were super low. I was like, they can't top what they did in Endgame. That was crazy, historic. There'll be never nothing like it. And every single thing they've released, even, I think Falcon Winter Soldier gets talked about the least, but even that, I remember being my jaw was on the floor when Walker, killed that super soldier, in front of everybody and stuff like that. So, and even the way the new Captain America is introduced, it's really, really awesome. But yeah, I think it's one of those things where they've reeled me back in every week, every month, every
Yeah.
single time they release something new, which is why I'm excited for Shang-Chi, because I think that obviously releasing the Spider-Man trailer is going to undercut Eternals and Shang-Chi, because
Yeah.
they're like, oh, we want to see 3 Spider-Man, we want to see Alfred Molina.
That's
we want,
part of it. Is people are going to be watching Shang-Chi just waiting for
Yeah.
some
sort of thing, yeah.
like the credits.
So that's rough, but I also think that's how you move forward, is you keep the fundamentals of like, we need to make a good movie just in general, and through storytelling and good writing and just the basics of film, which
yeah, just solid craft.
Yeah, exactly, where it's like, hey, keep getting undiscovered talent, but also get the Chloe Zhao and stuff like that. I think that's the fundamentals of what's gonna keep it going.
Yeah.
In the long run.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I think people still generally will love the films as they come out, and it'll be interesting. I mean, apparently Disney Plus is really popular, and Loki was the best show, most streamed show of all time. So who knows? Maybe it's infiltrating a lot of the audience just generally.
Well, and how many times do we pay good money to go see a superhero that we've seen already before it, but it's a different version? How many different Batman have we seen? How many different Spider-Man have we seen? And we haven't even done that with a lot of these characters. There hasn't been another Hulk movie. There hasn't been another Iron Man movie. So another take with a different character, with a good writer and a director, I think can still top a lot of the movies that have come out. You still have so much potential to make a Dark Knight-esque. There's nothing that can touch the Dark Knight, I think, in the MCU so far.
Moon Knight, another night.
Yeah.
I mean, like
Moon Knight Rises.
It's tough to measure up against Chris Nolan, one, but two, I think there's still potential to get there, to even surpass the Dark Knight with a crazy story, a crazy take on one of these characters.
Eternals looks very different from every other MCU thing.
And it looks like the best thing that the one cinematography wise is, I'm like, oh, this is the best thing that was probably shot in the MCU ever, and so it has the potential to get an Oscar nom for that and breaking the forefront on that end and stuff like that. But also, damn, I think I forgot what I was gonna say. But no, also, yeah, again, just you don't even know what you can come up with currently, and you have the ability to canonize these different versions from each other as well. Yeah. Where me and John were like, man, if we hadn't seen Doctor Who, we would be way more surprised. But we've seen 10 Doctors come
at the same
together.
time.
Yeah, and a lot of these concepts are being
sorry.
A lot of these concepts are being introduced to a wider audience, and they're loving it. Where I'm like, damn, you should go watch Doctor Who, bro. Like, that would have blown your mind years ago, because they were on this with the 3 Doctors back in the day with 1, 2, and 3, Patrick Troughton and Hartnell, and who was the last one? The dude's dad, the fucking Gotham butler, Pennyworth.
Fucking Pertwee.
Yeah, exactly. So
Scarf guy.
Yeah, and so it's so crazy that they're taking to these concepts, but it also builds you for longevity.
Yeah. And it's kind of set in what they are, because in the comic books this happens often. They're joining each other's teams.
No
they're
one
leaving.
Ever, no one
they're
ever dies.
back. No one ever dies.
They combine universes. They split them up. Yeah.
So this isn't out of nowhere, and it's not. And this isn't like a slight on King Kong or Godzilla, but they're not forcing a multiverse like they are in other IPs. Like, this is just part of the part of what it is.
I think they might be forcing a multiverse on DC, but that's just that's different.
But that's the crazy part, is that DC
that does happen too.
That was DC's bread and butter since the 70s and the 80s, and now Marvel is like adjusting to it, and you're like, whoa, like this is what, like, the potential of what you could have been. Because some of those books stand the test of time, and man, they're awesome. But how many people are going to read them first off?
Yeah.
They'd rather just sit there and intake the content that a movie or a show does. Without putting in as much effort.
Well, we're super excited, and we'll definitely be back to talk about Spider-Man. Hopefully the date doesn't move. I mean, Sony it looks like they're sticking to theatrical, so there's no out for them. They're just going to do that.
It's going to make bank.
They're out if they delay it.
They push it back further and further.
And I think Sony won't delay it. Like, Disney might. We're like, maybe, but Sony's like, no, nothing. Yeah. It's like Walter White, nothing stops.
And who knows? We may have to start covering the Venomverse, because it sounds like, there are a lot of people who are projecting that this is a Sinister Six.
And that first movie sucks. So man, we had to do that work for you, bro.
Well, can you imagine if Sony can be? Well, they can now. The multiverse is a thing. Like, they can make a Sinister Six movie every
they
6 months.
They can bring back
With every-
Chris Evans.
Yeah,
Six movies.
Every 6 they can make 6 movies a year.
They can bring back Chris Evans as the Human Torch as like a cameo, and
Wow,
someone would
yeah.
freak out, and everyone would flip.
That's true, yeah.
You know, and so that
We got hit. Evan Peters was Quicksilver in WandaVision,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we were like, "Oh,
I know
there's something going on."
J. Jonah Jameson. You're like, oh, they're sharing
They're
J. Jonah
back.
Jameson's.
It's.
and so-
I think it's going to be really exciting, especially if you're just a fan of Spider-Man. But it is going to be
and that misdirection with Octopus. I think they're trying to keep you preoccupied.
Doc Ock.
But and then they're like, here's Emma Stone, here's Kristen
Yeah,
Dunst,
here's everyone.
here's the Lizard, here's Sandman, here's obviously Jamie Foxx and stuff like
He's
that.
already in it. We know that.
And I think that's what's crazy is one, they shouldn't release any more trailers because you're so close already.
Yeah.
And you just released the first one. But two, I think it's one of those things where no matter how many trailers or hype that you try to get, it's not gonna out hype the amount of
Yeah.
hype that people already
Yeah.
have for it. So
That's a dangerous thing. I mean, that happened
is.
with WandaVision. Like,
Well,
it was-
and that's why I saw the trailer and I was like, I'm not as
good.
impressed.
Yeah.
I'm not very impressed, especially because Alfred Molina opened his mouth a long time ago and he was like, yeah, I'm straight up in it.
Yeah. You know he's married to the director of Frozen.
oh, nice.
Yeah,
think you
she's
said that on the pod one
She's
time.
the head
I
of
remember.
Disney Animation.
And yeah, job for life.
cool.
Lifer at
A
Disney.
lifer at Disney.
But yeah, and so I think it's one of those things where until I get my hands on it and actually watch it, nothing is going to impress me more than that.
But here's the thing though, and we feed into it because we have a podcast. But there is a giant. I don't even say it's a
giant
cottage.
what?
What's
Okay.
bigger than a cottage?
Cottage?
Mansion, I guess. I was gonna say there's a giant.
It's a regular
There's a
size house.
That's true. Cottage
you
is smaller
you
than a
keep
house.
like halfway say cottage, so you're like a giant cot, and then you stop it. I'm like, no.
Well, I was gonna say there's a cottage industry, but it's not a cottage. It's bigger. So I would say a house. There's a big house-sized industry of this thing that Marvel feeds into, which is the giant speculation machine, Countdown to Infinity.
Yeah.
To the release of the movie, and then they feed into it because they have these damn after credit scenes that just immediately gets you back on the train to the next speculation cycle. Does that make sense? Sometimes
Yeah.
we don't even sit in what we just saw. So we're going to talk about Spider-Man until it comes out. And then the second that movie's done and the credits roll, we will forget that thing ever existed.
Because the
I
next
think.
movie's coming out.
Because
That's
the
why.
next movie's coming
Well, and
out.
I work at a comic book store, so I see this all the time.
Yeah.
Our Shang-Chi, like Marvel Legends, they're still there. Like no one's bought them, but as soon as the movie comes out, they'll be gone.
Yeah.
And then that's it. And then if whatever doesn't leave after a certain amount of time, it won't sell because now we're on to the next thing.
Yeah.
So no one cares about Mando. So usually, man, I have a bunch of Star Wars stuff, and no one cares about Mando
all
right now.
about the
It's all
freaking-
about Marvel right
yeah.
now.
Hey.
And so when
And Spider-Man comes out during shopping season.
yeah, and so like Star Wars Visions comes out now. Suddenly, boom! I sell Star Wars stuff. But
Yeah.
after Star Wars, they're on to the next thing, on to the next that.
It's just bonkers. And it's going to be a never-ending cycle because it has been since 2008.
it's true.
So, all right. I guess we'll see you next week, literally, to feed into this house-size industry. Unless there's anything else that y'all are excited for. I know you've been loving What If, but you'll be back on to talk Shang-Chi
Yeah.
soon. And I think that's going to be a pretty big, surprising new world to dive into for Marvel.
Definitely. I think we got a little bit of a martial arts sort of taste in the Netflix shows. I'm
Iron
excited
Fist?
to see Iron Fist and
I mean,
even
Daredevil,
the
too. I
yeah.
was like, damn.
That's true.
So
So,
like,
like,
kung fu in their ass.
Can't wait to see this on a big screen. Like, it's going to be pretty awesome.
They said the action's the best, and I'm like, damn, you got to beat Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
and Winter Soldier's good.
And I'm hearing that it's like a very new world, like a very different.
I actually heard that it's not what the trailers are selling, which is exciting.
Yeah, heck yeah,
Like,
yeah.
the tone of the movie is not what the trailers are selling.
I'm so ready. And then, man, this episode 3 of What If? This past episode,
haven't seen it.
Okay,
Don't
yeah,
spoil it
I
for
won't spoil it, but oh my
Yeah.
god, like, man, wow, like I need more of this.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
Well, we'll talk to you soon. Everyone stay safe and be vaccinated.
Get vaccinated.
Get vaccinated. Oh, do you all want to plug something or no?
I think we're good.
And you already ended the show, so it's kind of over already.
All right, bye.